Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. I know everybody's probably still filtering in, so I'm just gonna sit here and ramble for a minute. So far on the chat, I see Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper. We've been having a little conversation. Like I said, good to see you, Apache. Willie FPV, what's up? Good to see everybody. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. 2 weeks. It feels like it's been a really long time. But 2 weeks is a long time in FPV. A lot of things have happened since last time I live streamed. And if you notice, I haven't posted a bunch of videos on YouTube lately. We're going to talk about that too. But yeah, we're just going to let everybody filter in. I know JB just got done doing his stream. He's always killing it over there. So I'm sure people are coming back and forth. What's up, Borked Bits? Good to see you. Good afternoon, y'all flying fools. Crash and Burn FPV, what's up? Good to see everybody back in here. I have missed you guys. It has been a long couple of weeks. It has been really cold here in Texas. I know it's Texas and it's not supposed to be cold, but it has been pretty cold. What's up, Fly Zone FPV? And I don't have any heat in my little studio, and the door I'm looking at over there is actually just a screen door with nothing in it between me and the outside world. So it gets really freaking cold in here. My relatives hooked me up with the heater, and I have a nice oil heater over here keeping my fingies usable. So it's not too bad in here today. It's like 50 degrees, but this week it's supposed to be rainy, so no flying, and like 30. So yeah, it's going to be a really terrible week for FPV. What's up, Crow FPV? Oh, Willie's already got a question. What's up? Let's read Willie's question. I'd like to ask you what the best capacitor is for 6S 5-inch, 470 microfarad 50 volt or 1000 microfarad 35 volt. It will be my first 6S build. This is a very common question. You are not the only one, Willie. The way I look at this, when you're looking at 6S voltage, you're looking at 25 or so volts. I'd have to do the math in my head. My head don't work right now. So 25 or so volts. So you need to be above that. I always like to double the voltage because when we're talking about spikes, there's a potential for voltage spikes. Most of the time, though, it's amperage spikes. And what we're protecting ourselves against in quads is not necessarily power limitations. It's just those spikes. So you really want capacity or microfarad to absorb a quantity of spike, and you want a voltage rating to make sure that you don't exceed the capacitor's rating whenever that voltage does peak up. So if you're at 25 volts and you have a 35 volt capacitor, that's only 10 volts of overhead. A 50 volt capacitor is much better for overhead. Now, which one would I pick, the capacity or the overhead? I would pick the overhead. If I was going to build this, I would go with a 470 microfarad 50 volt capacitor. I would feel better about it if I could get 1000 microfarad 50 volt capacitor, but if not, I'll take the voltage over the capacitance any day of the week because that is where the headroom needs to be. So to answer your question, Willie, I would do the 470 microfarad 50 volt for that build for sure. What's up, Jeremy Stone? What's up, Ivan? Miami, Florida in the house. What's the weather like in Miami, Florida, Ivan? I bet it's nice there still. Yeah, Crow FPV, haircut and all. Yeah, I did cut the hair. It was getting a little bit too shaggy. You see, during the day, I am executive at a IT consulting firm, and I can't have my hair looking like I'm a shiftless hobo, so I decided to cut it. Plus, it annoys me. But I went forever without cutting it because once we moved into the new house, I didn't have the ability to cut it the same way I did at the old house. I know it sounds weird, but I'm really particular about it. Like, I don't want to get hair all over the sink. So it took me forever to figure out a way, and my wife ordered me a thing to put down to keep my hair from getting in the sink, and I finally did it a few weeks ago. So Free Range Chicken, thank you very much for the $9.99 super chat. Good to see you too. Like I said, I'm happy to be streaming. I've missed everybody. I know you all have been looking for me, and I've just been kind of MIA on the YouTubes lately. This month is really crazy, being December, and I've talked about it before, but I kind of started we started a side business as a family. My wife's parents, my kids, my wife, and I started a side business as a family, completely outside of FPV, because I don't want to monetize FPV. It's not about getting you guys to pay my bills. It's more about using your money to see things you want to see. So I don't want to use that money for those kind of things, and that's never what this channel will be. We started a side business to pay for groceries. It's 2023. It's really tough. We're a single income family. So I've been super busy. December is a week to kill it for Christmas sales. So yeah, I've been running stuff. We're going to talk about that though. I have some stuff over here that I've been making. What's up, Bot Grinder? Good to see you. Bitter Root, awesome. Ivan says it is 80 in Miami. 80 degrees in Miami. It's what you get for living on a peninsula. It has nothing to do with the peninsula, but still, I would like Florida's weirdly shaped. You can't say it's not. It's totally weirdly shaped. What's up, Morton Upshot? Matty ORC, good to see you. Prop Junkie. Everybody's filtering in. For Quad Sake is here. Everybody's showing up. It's a party now. Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about where I've been for the past month. Like I said, super crazy and what I've been doing. So yeah. But yeah, you can wonder what these are. You've probably seen them before. I'll show you those in a little while. Jeremy Stone doing some conformal coating. Snowed here in Minnesota last night, so need some waterproofing. Yeah, we haven't had snow yet, but I imagine this next week we'll get some here. We do get snow in my part of Texas. I lived in New Mexico for a little while where it snowed a lot. And yeah, I would conformal coat everything if I still lived there. It doesn't snow that much here, but we're probably going to get some next week, I assume. Matty O says it's 60 in Massachusetts. Yeah, nice weather. What's up, Chow? Good to see you. Let's see. Has my hair grown again now for Quad Sake Cast? Yeah, it grows rapidly. This stuff is, I don't know, it's super rapid. It used to be really black, though, and you can't really see it on camera, but there's a lot of white in there. It's all the stress. You know, the more white hair I get, the more, I don't know. What do you call that? I don't want to say old. I feel old. It's wisdom. I don't know. It's wisdom coming out. I don't know from what. Mark G says, what do you think about the Beta FPV Pavo 20? That's a good question, Mark. I actually have one in a box. Well, it was over there, but I moved the thing that it was on. It's in a box. I have not flown it yet because it has been cold and windy, but I am going to try it, and I will let everybody know when I finally get around to making more videos. This month, like I said, just been crazy. I have a video I have been trying to edit for the past 3 weeks, and it's not even that hard of a video. I've just been working like 80 or 85 hours a week, and it's been really tough. It's been really tough, but I will definitely get around to that. Hopefully in the next week or so. Actually, well, it's going to rain next week. Hopefully before the end of the month, I have flown the Pavo 20. What's up, 420 Volt? Good to see you. Chow asked, did I open the box yet? Chow, do you want me to open the box? I will open the box right now on this stream. My wife is inside. She is on this. She can bring me the box from the closet in the game room behind the door. There's a box in there. There's a couple of boxes in there. If you bring all the boxes, babe, yes, I'm talking to you through the stream. Hopefully you hear this. If you bring the boxes, I will open them on stream. And we can see what Chow has been asking me about. He keeps asking me if I'm going to open the box. He sent me a box with stuff in it. He was kind enough to send me stuff to test some KISS, but I haven't been able to do it yet for all the other reasons. And yeah, apparently there's something in there I need to see, and he keeps asking me if I've opened it. He says, do it. Yeah. If Nikki will bring me the boxes, I will open it on stream. If she doesn't hear it, that's not on me, though. Rob Groove, what's in the box? I don't know, man. That's it. What's up, Bobby Bags? MR, just tuning in. Boxes? I like boxes. Yeah, there's lots of boxes in that closet in there. She's gonna have a hard time identifying which one it is. So if she does it, oh, she heard it. She says she heard it. So she might bring them out here, and I might open it. Bobby Bags asks, do you run the same rates on your Tiny Whoop as you do your 5-inch? Yes, in fact, I do. Occasionally, though, because I do like to race Tiny Whoops, and when I race Tiny Whoops, I tend to do it at like 50 degrees of camera tilt. Occasionally, I will change my roll, and I will have a little bit more roll degrees per second than normal, but I keep the curve the same. I just increase the in point, if that makes sense. But yeah, generally, I run the same rates on small quads as big quads. I just tune the quads to make sure they can achieve the same rotational speeds so that they feel the same. But a lot of people run different ones. You know, whatever works for you, but that's definitely what I do. Mark G asks, what do you think is the Pavo 20 small enough to fly indoors? I've opened the box. I have handled it. I have disassembled it a little bit. I would say it is if you're comfortable flying indoors. If If you're not comfortable flying indoors, it's likely to get sucked up to a wall or something. But if you have experience flying other quads indoors, it's a little bit big, but it can be done. Just with 2-inch props, you're going to have a lot of thrust at your disposal. And there's a higher likelihood that you suck it up to a wall. There is my wife with the boxes, Chow. She's coming with the boxes. And I can pick through and find yours. Bobby Bags races with 30 degrees on his tiny whoop and 45 on your 5-inch racers. Yeah, I tend to have a lot more. Oh, there it is. All right. Hold on, everybody. We got to look through the boxes. Not that one. Not that one.
Is it that one? Is it literally none of those?
I think it's this one. Yeah. It is. Miami, Florida. Not going to show Chow's name. I think this is it. Thank you, babe.
There was no more.
This should be all of them. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, there's Nikki. She's talking to you instead of on chat. This is the box in question. We'll open it momentarily. All right. Let's see here. What did I miss? What is everybody saying in there? What's up, Gandalf? Bobby Bike says he's yawing more on your tiny whoop, I think, because of the lower cam tilt. Yeah. So that's why I increased my roll and I run a higher rate, or I run a higher angle. But that's just one way to race. I watched a lot of really fast pilots on tiny whoops race with all yaw, and they just increase their yaw rate. It just depends on what you want to do. I prefer the higher camera angle. Some people will keep it down at 30 and just yaw like crazy, though. Just depends on what you do. What's up, Twisted FPV? Prop Junkie wants to know what's in the box too. We're gonna get to the box. The box will happen. Chow says there are things in this box that need to be seen. So yeah, we'll see what Chow thinks. We'll see what he means when he keeps asking me why I should open this box all the time. What's up? Can I get a channel? I know how to say your name now. Took me like 3 asks of how to do it. Bird Fan. All is well. Yes, Bird Fan. Thank you. Ricardo asks, when setting up ELRS for the first time, is there a disadvantage for choosing LBT instead of FCC? So it depends on where you're at. LBT, I'm not sure what that one is, but I know what you're referring to because of the SCC. Being that I'm in the US, I always pick FCC, which means that I'm on 2.4 gigahertz, and the channel hop frequencies are what they would be for the United States. The other regulatory domains are for other places. There is one for the EU. It's still 2.4 gigahertz, but some of the channel hops are different. And when you're on 900 megahertz ELRS, which I don't know if you are or not, that will actually be 900 megahertz here and 868 megahertz in the EU, depending on which regulatory domain you pick. So I would always just pick FCC. That's very standard and the easiest as long as you run FCC on everything. But it does depend on what country you're in, just in case you want to comply with local regulations, which is totally up to you. Marco GS, are there things in the box to be eaten? I hope not, because this box has been sitting for a long time. He sent this to me a long time ago, and I know it's killing him that I have not opened it. But I've just been so busy. Oh, Chris Croft says LBT also limits power output. Yeah, I would pick FCC. I wasn't sure if they hard code the 25 milliwatt output. But the FCC one does not set you to 25 milliwatts. So I always pick the FCC. Like I said, though, comply with your local regulations if that's what you choose to do, and put it in the country of origin that you are in if you want to comply with 25 milliwatts and certain channel options. More Upshot said it's a kitten. There's not a kitten in the box. It hasn't, well, it might have made noise at first, but it definitely isn't today. Offer Quad 6 says, indoors today destroying Pavo Pico frames. Gone through 6 plastic duct frames so far. Yeah, that's the downside. That's why I have this blue one on here. I found this one to be the toughest. These ones that are semi-transparent seem to be better, Offer Quad 6. I don't know if you're running the black ones or not. But if you are, you might change to one of these semi-translucents because they tend to work better. For longer, anyway. Chow says, I'm hoping once the box is opened, it may haunt your dreams until you build and tune it. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. We're going to open the box, everybody. Chow's real adamant. I'm going to use this handy box opening tool that's not made for this. Oh, I'm sure that sounds great on microphones. Oh, man, what do you tape this up with, Chow? It's like industrial strength USPS tape right here. For Quad's sake agrees, the blue ones come out best on the Pavo Pico frames. Oh no, I hit my heater with a piece of paper. Okay, let's see what Chow sent. Oh, I don't want to show Chow's information on the label. It's stuck. Get out of there. Get out of there. It's very stuck. Wow. Oh man, it's a freshman. It's a freshman frame. Awesome. What's supposed to be haunting about this, Chow? Gaffer's tape, like 50 rolls of it. What's supposed to be haunting about this? I don't. Why is it taped to the top of the ESC? What is this ESC? Tell me what's haunting, Chow. The other stuff in the box. There's other stuff in the box. All I have is paper. All I have is paper, Chow. I didn't see anything else. Did I miss something? What am I missing, Chow? I don't see other stuff. Did you not put something in here that you thought you put in here? This looks perfectly reasonable to me. Is it in the TPU bag? Is that what we're talking about? I don't see anything weird in here either. I mean, looks like your supports were bad on your printing. That I see. Is it just the prints? What's wrong, Chow? You did. Definitely other stuff in the box. There's nothing else in there, buddy. Are you going to make me dig through this again? Look, here's the inside of the box, Chow. Also, maybe some termites. That wouldn't be intentional. There's nothing else in there. Now I'm gonna be searching all over the place. All right. This is the paper, Chow. The paper is empty. The paper is empty, and there's nothing else in the box. Oh, God, I see it now. I saw it. I found it. I know what Chow was talking about now. It's not a ghost. It's haunting. It's this. Let's see. There's a small phallic object with phallic object on it. It's phallus with phallus on parts of phallus. Thank you, Chow. You know, here's the thing. The most haunting part of this phallic print is that it's so nicely printed. But I'm going to pick on Chow for a minute. It's so nicely printed. But look at the support lines inside of these feet. Come on, man. All those support, like, the print is great, but all those support lines, but the phallus has nothing wrong with it at all. I want to know how you got the tip so perfect. It's all about the tip. It'd be really hard to get this tip correct in TPU. Yes, I love Bacon Ninja FPV as my daughter, and she is traumatized. This is your fault, Chow. You have traumatized my children and my wife. Oh, Crafted printed the CN stuff. Oh, I got to take it back now. I can't make fun of Crafted Quads. He's too cool. I'll make fun of Chow. I'm not going to give Crafted a hard time. Okay, so Chow, did you print the yellow? That's the question. If you printed the yellow, I am going to look at your yellow prints and then I'll critique them. For Quad's sake, needs scaling up a bit. No, I feel like this is actual size. Yeah. It's life-sized. Yellow, yes. Okay, so Chow printed the yellow parts. Oh, man, these are like in there. This is a good design. I wonder if, I guess Crafted probably designed these feet too, huh? Okay, Chow's prints are good. I'm not going to make fun of Chow's prints. They're really good. Now, this is actually a really beautiful frame. I have been wanting to try a Freshman for forever. I've been wanting to try Kiss forever. And look at how nice these solder joints are. They're like, if Chow put those on there, those are all pro solder joints, buddy. And I can tell this frame was assembled by Chow FPV because when I touch the joints of the carbon, it's sticky. Because everything that he assembles has that grease stuff in it for vibration dampening, and it's definitely up in there, for sure. Definitely. Elmo Hawk asked if there are different stiffnesses of TPU. I feel like my black TPU is super soft compared to the TPU part I receive online. Yeah, so it's called shore hardness, and this TPU is pretty easily what's called a shore 95 hardness, where it's kind of hard to bend it. So 95A is what we typically print in. You can get hardnesses in 80s, but what I found is even some 95As feel different when printed, and most of the time that is because of layer adhesion. So your printer settings, if you haven't dried your TPU and your printer settings are off, if your TPU isn't bone dry, it will actually extrude kind of like a foam, and it will make all your parts feel really squishy. When they actually aren't, the 95A is fairly firm. So if you have squishy parts, the first thing I would do is dry the heck out of your roll of TPU. That stuff absorbs water like nobody's business right out of the atmosphere. So even if you just opened it and let it sit there and it's been there for a week, it could be full of water. Dry the heck out of it for about 8 hours at 50 degrees Celsius, and you'll probably have a better printing time. I have a Sunlu dry box that I do mine in. Yeah, Offer Quad 6 says buy Sunlu or Yo-Yo TPU at 95. Yeah, Shore 95. I use, for my TPU, I use Overture Shore 95, 95A and Hatchbox 95A. I find Hatchbox to be a little bit softer. But no, this is a beautiful frame. Crafted Quads did a really good job on this. I really like Crafted's design. The arm mounting, the 2-pin arm mounting is going to be great. Like the crash resistance of this goes up tremendously because of the way this is a 2-bolt pattern with press nuts to hold the arms on. The plate attachment or the arm interlock looks like it's a traditional square interlock, which is nice. Has 20 by 20 mounting, 30 by 30 mounting, 20 up to 30 mounting in the rear, no mounting in the front, split deck. Yeah, a really good deck height. So it's not going to be a super squished build. Yeah, I think this is going to be really cool. And the arm protection, I was a little leery of this arm protection being all out front and cut into the carbon like this. But I talked to Crafted Quads about that quite a bit. And he did a lot of testing to get here. And honestly, where you crash an arm most of the time is in the front. He said they last a lot longer, especially when they have these kind of TPU prints that go into the holes. So I'm really excited to try this frame. I know it has been forever, and Chow sent this to me a long time ago, but I am super excited to try it. And it's got Kiss in it, which is going to be awesome. Chow is right. As soon as I open it now, I'm going to build it. So good on you, Chow. And I got a little present. I'm going to give this to my wife. I think she'll know what to do with it. All right. I know I missed a whole lot of comments while I was looking at that. Let's see. Boondock Striker asked, what 3D printer would you recommend for someone just getting started in 3D printing? It's a good question. Let me pull up a website real quick. I have a lot of opinions on this. Let me see if this is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think this is the one I'm thinking of. And I'll tell you, I'll even show you why. Let me switch over to my there we go. Okay. This is the Soval SV06. Best budget 3D printer for beginners. Yeah, what's up, Rain Squad? The reason I say this is the one I would buy if I were going to just shell out some money for a printer is A, it's $195. B, it's a direct drive, which means that it'll handle TPU really well. You don't have a long filament path to be pushing filament through. C, it is a dual screw. If you look at this, and it's hard to see my mouse, but there's a screw on either side of the printer. Yeah, you can't really see my mouse at all. There's a screw on either side of the printer rail When you get into something like an Ender 3, there's a screw on one side, which means that there are times where your gantry gets kind of crappy. Having a screw on both sides is great. You can get this printer and learn all you want with it, direct drive. Don't have to worry about the bed leveling getting weird based on the screw being odd. And then if you really want to start screwing around, this thing can run Clipper if you hook up a Raspberry Pi to it, and it can do some really crazy things. It's great for $195. Now, it depends on the person. If you're one of those, apparently they have this thing where they're going to like spin a big wheel. I don't know what that's about. Thanks, Sowal. For me, that is the best way to go. There's also, I mean, if you just want an easy button that prints everything you tell it to print, you can go to Bamboo Lab and get that. You're going to pay more for it. Their A1 Mini is going to be $300. It'll print TPU just fine and a bunch of other stuff, pretty small bed size. But you literally have to do nothing but load it and then press a button in the slicer to send it, and you're done. So, yeah. That's the best budget. So far, $195. But if you want the easy button, Bamboo is the way. I run 2 Bamboo printers. That's actually what I've been doing this past month. And I have over 800 hours on each one of them. And I've had very few failures, and all the failures have been my fault. So the Soval, you will have to learn a little. You will have to acquire knowledge to make it print the way you want it to print. It's not as easy. But for $200, less than $200, and you can catch it on sale lower than that, it's pretty hard to beat. If you want something super easy, though, go to Bamboo Lab and get a P1P or an A1 Mini, and those are literally the easy button of printing. Just load them up, hit send. So I know that's a long opinion, but yeah, either the Soval or a Bamboo Lab printer. Those are the 2 things I'd recommend to people. Yeah, Chow agrees. Best budget printer for a noob, buy a Bamboo. Yeah. Bobby Back says, you have the P1P. It's the best. Got the spring summer, and it was the cheapest one at the time. I own a P1P and a P1S. I also have an AMS on the way. I'll probably wind up with another P1S. Yeah, I have over 800 hours on them, on each of them, and they are really kicking it. They're kicking it real good. I have printed, oh man, tens of pounds of filament through them. Still great. Never had to even put a part in. Yeah. Never had to retune them, nothing. They've been perfect. Yeah, Boondock Striker says, I'll check out the Soval. I like the challenge. Yeah, if you're that kind of person, the Soval would be my recommendation for sure. I started out as that kind of person many years ago when I started printing, and I built my own printers out of really crappy kits, and then I bought printers and modified print. I've done all those things, and then I've come back full circle to I just want a printer that prints when I tell it to print, and I don't have to worry about it finishing and doing a proper job. So now I own Bamboo Labs printers. Offer Quad 6 says, I'm still running an Ender 3 from 5+ years ago, mainly TPU. I've got an Ender 3 dying slowly in my bedroom, and I've got a CR10 downstairs dying slowly in the basement, along with a couple of, I have a couple of Pruzas, i3s, yeah, I have a bunch of stuff. And I have a bunch of resin printers too. But they're all just like dead to me now that I've run Bamboo printers. I don't want anything to do with those other printers. They are inferior to the Bamboo printers, but the Bamboo printers are more expensive for sure. Chow says, if you like a challenge, I've got a great Ender 3 S1 I'll sell you. Yeah. Moist said, had to get up early this morning to change a flat tire. To change a tire. My mom got a flat on the way home. At least you were there for her, man. I'm glad you were able to do that. I know so many people that don't know how to change their own tires. They like have to call AAA to change a tire. I feel like that's, as a driver, I would just be constantly terrified that I would get a flat and not know how to change it. So, yeah, it's great that you could do that. Good on you for helping your mom out. Nick FPV says, oh, hey, I'm late. What you building? This is a drone from Chow FPV. He sent it to me. This is a Crafted Quads freshman frame with KISS stuff in it. I'm not building it today because I want to be really meticulous with this. It is my first experience with KISS and this frame, and it's also Chow's, and I don't want to break his stuff. Well, I do want to break his stuff, but I want to be able to send something back to him. I don't want to lose his stuff. So I'm going to be meticulous with that one. Can I get a channel says, it's now epidemic. It's the ocean of ignorance. Born Up said, flats and oil changes, you should know, even if you pay someone to do it for you. Absolutely. I remember being like, well, I don't remember. I have pictures of me when I was 5 years old changing headlights in my dad's truck. That's just what he did in the driveway. And we always did our own oil. Everything that needed to be done, we did ourselves. We never took it to a mechanic. We always did our own stuff. When it came to the house, we built walls, we tore up floors, we put in new bathrooms, all that stuff on our own. Never paid contractors or anything. And I'm very thankful for that my dad taught me those things. It comes in handy a lot. So, yeah. I hope you guys know some of those things. They come in handy all the time. You're going to have to fix and return his PP, says Morton Upshot. I'm not sending the PP back. This PP is mine. It's tiny. It's pocket PP. It's pocket PP. It's like PPception, though, because there's 2 PPs in one pocket PP. Well, all right. I like that everybody's here. It's been great. I'm very happy to have you all. It's been a very long time. But what have I been doing lately? Like I said, I started a print shop. My family, my wife, my kids, myself, my in-laws, we all live in the same house now. So we got a couple of Bamboo Labs printers. Actually, Bamboo Labs sent me one for review, and I liked it so much that I bought one. So I own 2, and will probably buy another. So I'm working on a review for that. That's going to come out earlier next year. But it's been great with those printers, and I thought, man, I have always wanted to have a print shop. So I started one, and we've been doing an Etsy store, and I have a big, large format laser over in the garage that way. That's like 3 foot by 2 foot. And so I've been doing a lot of stuff there too. I'm making cutting boards and coasters and ornaments and things, and inlaying it with epoxy. So it's kind of cool, but it has been really crazy, and I haven't been able to get to doing much on the channel. And yeah, I'm not going to close the channel down. Don't worry. I'm still going to be here. I'm going to hang back a little bit this month because I've got to finish up getting all the orders out that we have and making new stuff. Chad asked if I have a CNC machine. No, but I want one. I can't justify it yet. At some point, I'd love to have a CNC router to make metal things or wooden things with a CNC router. I have programmed and operated them before. In fact, I used to have a job doing that. But no, we have a whole Makerville here. And yeah, I made these yesterday. You know, sometimes you want to flip somebody the bird, but you want to make a real statement with it. You know, that'll do it. It's a lot better than just your finger. But I have them in a bunch of sizes. It's stuck because it's cold out here. We'll leave it half open. But yeah, I make it big and small. You know, just for pocket size in case. You know, I've been building this kind of stuff. And we have an Etsy store and all kinds of things. So that's where I've been because that is hopefully going to pay the grocery bill. It's pretty expensive to feed my children. Anyway, but I'm not giving up on the channel. I'm still going to be here and answer your questions. Just know that I'm probably not going to answer as many comments as I used to or be on Discord as often or post a video every week. It might be 2 weeks in between videos, but I will be here. And I'll try to live stream too. If you guys really like being here on the live streams, and I really do enjoy being here with you, I'll try to do them more often. So yeah, and speaking of that, Nick asked, when does the Jin video come out? Yeah, I have been trying to get to that one too. I am currently 3 videos behind. I have all the footage shot for the Jin. I am still tuning it because I want it to fly just a little bit closer to what I'm expecting it to be able to do. And it's been super windy and cold, so I haven't been able to fly it every day like I want to. Lately, I've been flying more of this little Darwin Tiny Ape 3.5 inch. And I'm making a video about that. But hopefully before the end of December, the Jin video comes out. That's what I'm shooting for, Nick. So keep an eye out for the channel. It will come. I know you guys have been holding on to it, and I built it on the live streams, but I have been flying it. It's in the house right now with a pack strapped to the top that I probably need to discharge or at least storage charge because it's been on there for like a week. But yeah, it's coming. What are you guys talking about here? Yeah. Oh, yeah. One way to do it, but it saves a bunch of money not having a shop charge you for labor. Yeah. CNC is awesome. I used to run big CNC mills and stuff and program CNC lathes, mills. I used to run manual lathes and mills, all kinds of stuff. But Jeremy Stone says, I enjoy your live streams. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. And I like being here hanging out. I think it's a lot more interactive. Shooting regular videos during the week has been really tough. Like this one, I shot it twice. It took 3 hours each time to shoot just the footage, just the talking part. Then I had to do flight footage. I have about I'll throw it. About 15 hours into that video, and I have not got it edited yet. And finding that time has been hard lately. But just know that I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. What's up? Ooh, good to see you. If you don't know who Ooh is, he's Saggy Balls on the Discord. I know who he is because he has 2 names. Can I Get a Channel says, we're talking about you in front of your back. How can you be in front of my back? Yeah, this quad, which is hopefully the video on this. I planned on editing it yesterday. It hadn't got it done. Then I planned on it today and wound up running printers this morning and doing a bunch of other stuff. This video is going to be fun. I beat the ever-living crap out of this quad. The patrons paid for this little thing. It's like $150. This is the 6S 3.5-inch Darwin. And if you ever bought Darwin quads, the thing I always hate is the motors. The motors are always a nightmare. These aren't too bad. I didn't break any of them. They're 1504s. They are 1504s. This is a 6S version in analog. I did break the camera, though. I don't know if you can tell. I broke the camera lens. All the electronics are potted, so it's like waterproof out of the box. Even the camera is potted. So I'm going to talk about that one. But I gave it all that I had and flew it a ton of packs. I turtle moded it every time I crashed. Never blew up anything on it. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's what the next video will be about, is that one. Offer Quad 6 says there's a new 2-inch QAV quad that Futurist is raving about. Yeah, I've flown some QAV quads. Haven't. They just weren't my jam, honestly. But yeah. Bobby Bag says my videos and knowledge have helped you out many times in FPV. Very smart. Yeah. Thank you very much, Bobby Bags. You've been here forever. I remember the first time you commented. You've been hanging around the channel for a long time. It's been almost 3 years now that I've been making these things. It's I have like 300 videos. I don't know. It's crazy how many videos I have. I can't even remember the first ones I made. Daniel Moyes, what's up? Ryan Sedmeyer, what's up? Yeah, Rain Squad says, my Darwin ate the side of a dumpster at high speed and still lives. This one ate the side of everything, buddy. Oh, man, I'm just throwing quads everywhere. This one ate the side of everything. I ran it into trees, metal posts. I put it in water at one point, into rocks, all the stuff. Just kept on chugging for $150. The ploy of the video is that if you're going to buy a kit of FPV things, this should be one of them, along with a good charger that costs about $100, some batteries, a Radiomaster radio like the Pocket, and a set of EV800Ds. If you spend that $500 with this quad, you will have a really good time in FPV. I think that's better spent than something like a Tiny Whoop, but it does depend on your situation. But yeah, that thing it's been killing it. Bobby Bag's been around here since 2020. Man, long time, buddy. I probably started right around then, actually. 2020, the summer of 2020-ish. Nick FPV asks, what's the drone on the side of the 3D printed hands? This one or this one? I can't see which one. It's probably this one. This is the Darwin Tiny Ape 3.5-inch. Not the 3-inch, just 3.5. Yeah. It's a good little quad. Or Baby Ape. That's the Baby Ape. I keep saying Tiny Ape. Moy says 100% agree. I love the Baby Ape. Got some 4S lights from Fly High. Yeah. Yeah, those Fly High lights are really nice. And yeah, they do look cool. This has lights on it from the factory, but having Fly High lights would be a whole lot better. The one that flew off, Nick FPV says. What flew off? Yeah, my little quads. This is another crafted quad. This is one that flew off. This is a crafted quads Odinata, the non-HD version. This is the standard version that I put Walk Snail in that still has Walk Snail in it. This is a fun little pocket ripper. If I was ever going to go like stealthily rip a store, I would maybe consider this one. As long as there weren't too many people there, because it is open prop. But that was a lot of fun. And then there was my little Snowflake, which someone from the Discord group actually made this frame, cut it, and sent me some samples. And I built a quad around it. And it's a lot of fun too. I wish that they would continue that project and maybe sell some of them because it's a very good frame. I like carbon 65mm frames. They're really nice. Boondock Striker says, would you fly the Darwin in snow? Yeah, actually I would with this one. Because the FC is potted, the ESC is coated. The VTX is potted and the camera is potted. I think the ELRS receiver is potted as well, but I can't validate that. But yeah, I would absolutely fly that in snow, especially because if you murder it, it's $150 instead of a big quad. You just buy a whole new one. Yeah, that would be one of my first picks for flying in the snow. The thing that I don't like, and I'll blow the video ahead of time. This camera, man. The camera, it's okay. The camera looks okay, but you can't change the lens. And when you nail this thing on a piece of metal and break it, it's $30 to replace this potted camera, which is ridiculous. It should be like $12. I don't like that. So it's going to get a camera that's not that camera. But that is the weak point. Rain Squad needs to rebuild his Odinata. Yeah, Odinatas are fun. Chow has an Odinata. I see him fly a lot. I like my Odinata. I think everybody that I know that's had an Odinata really enjoys it. Sometimes it's hard to find the frames, though. And a lot of people wind up with the HD. But yeah, it's very good. I probably have some. I don't know if I have any footage of that. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if I have footage of me flying this thing. I do somewhere. I got to dig through all my folders. Let's see. Prod temp, baby ape. See if I have any good ones. I'm gonna peruse this real quick. See if I have any good ones that are worth showing. But I did spend a lot of time in turtle mode with this quad. 4 minutes and 4 seconds. Oh, that's a good one. Let me share my screen. I'll go to share my screen. Stop screen. Present. Share screen. Window. This media player. Haha. There we go. All right. Play. There you go. Let me take off first. You don't want to watch me take off. All right. So this is me flying it. It's a little bit choppy. It's a pretty good quad. For $150, you can't complain too much. I hope it's not that choppy for you. It probably is. The capture is pretty terrible. Ryan Sedmeyer's got the jitterbug over the Odinata. Two different things. It's a tough one. I like the jitterbug. I do. It's a really good frame. But the Odinata is also very good. I don't know which one I'd pick. I'd probably go whatever his bigger one is, his 2.5 inch. Oh, yeah, there's me pounding something. I just keep going, though. I don't actually crash. Whatever his 2-inch quad is, not the jitterbug, I think it's the other one. I'd pick that and an Odinata. I'd take both. Yeah, this quad, I just crashed into as many things as I could, as quickly as I could. This might be the one where I break the lens. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Woo! Did a little dive. Yeah, I'm just racing around over here, trying to push it a little bit. I want to see if the ESC can make it and live through a little bit of abuse, because Darwin has not been notorious for having great functioning long-term ESCs. So I'm just doing a little bit of slaloming here. It holds up really well. Oh, yep. Then I beamed myself into something there. That happens. But yeah, you'll see all that in the video. I got to finish editing it. It won't be that choppy in the video, obviously. It'll be a lot better. But the camera is not the best camera in the world. But still, for a beginner, $150. Yeah. Ooh, Ryan Sedmeyer says Luke redesigned the jitterbug arms to be way fatter. Actually, that's really cool. Yeah. I might have to check out his new one. I haven't talked to him in a little while. I did that review on the frame he sent me. I really enjoyed that frame, but I haven't talked to him since then. So I'm sure he's done a bunch of other stuff. Nick says, you live in Europe and ordered G&B batteries a month ago and it's still not here. The reason they shipped the package first to the Netherlands and then to Switzerland, I don't know. I'm sure there is. It probably has something to do with customs, I would imagine. So, yeah, it's probably something that it has to go through customs for a cheaper rate in a certain place and then cross a border where it doesn't have customs. It's all kinds of weird when you get into international shipping. But hopefully you get them soon. I know that it can be a real pain in some places to get things, for sure. Ligma asked, uncrashed or liftoff? For me, uncrashed. I feel liftoff is a little bit too gamey for me. Uncrashed is a lot less gamey and a lot more realistic for freestyle practice. If I wanted to just race gates, I might go liftoff because the racing in there really isn't bad. In fact, liftoff micro quads is pretty good too, but I have to mess with the physics a little bit to get it the way I like it. Uncrashed seems to settle in better for me the way I like the physics. And yeah, that's kind of where I like to live, is in uncrashed. It's a lot more of a freestyle simulator than I feel like liftoff actually is. Even though liftoff was around first. So it's kind of the OG. But if I was going to, if I wanted to go full OG, I would go all the way back to, what's that one everybody has? I have it. It's not liftoff. How come I can't think of it? It literally just blanked in my head. You're going to think I'm stupid. A Velocidrone. Yes, that one. How come I couldn't remember the name Velocidrone? I play it all the time. Yeah, if I wanted to race solely, I'd go into that. Velocidrone is also a pretty good freestyle simulator. It's pretty well rounded. But I feel like freestyle in uncrashed is just freaking good. Yeah, Morton Upshot said Velocidrone? Yeah, Velocidrone. I don't know. I had a brain fart. It happens. There's a bunch of stuff rumbling around in there. Everybody's saying Velocidrone. Yeah, everybody but me knew what it was called. I play it all the time. Morton Upshot says, playing it now, but it's janky. What kind of janky is it? What kind of janky is it, Morton? Is it laggy janky or feeling janky? I have some pretty good tweaks and settings for my Velocidrone to make it feel the way I like. And I spent a lot of time racing Tiny Whoops and Velocidrone. When I did the Weebleed, that whole race series online, I spent months flying Tiny Whoops in races. I spent a lot of time in Velocidrone. And yeah, I have, so at the very beginning of the stream, some people were asking about my knee. My knee is screwed up. If you didn't know, I broke the crap out of it all the time, a long time ago. And it's been messed up since. And I got an MRI and some other stuff. There's a lot of things in there, some broken bones, a lot of busted up cartilage. Anyway, I have an orthopedic surgeon appointment this week to figure out what the surgery looks like. But I am supposed to be in New York next year for the East Coast Whoop Championship that Weebleed FPV is putting on up there. I'm going to make an appearance and hang out with everybody up at that race. It's sold out really fast. I am very much looking forward to it. I hope that my knee doesn't get in the way of me being able to go to that, because I got to get on an airplane and go up there, which is not something I typically do. But Bot Grinder is going to be there. I'm going to be there. I think Weebleed is working on a whole lot of people showing up to it. It's going to be a really cool event. So you should at least tune into the stream. I'll be on it. And check it out. But that's going to be a Whoop race. I love Whoop races. They are awesome. Oh, Bobby Bags, you're going to be there? Bobby's going to be there. Nice. That race sold out super fast. I think Weebleed posted it, and like a day later, all the race spots were gone. It was quick. Morton Upshot says the jank is in the feeling. Playing on my son's PC because mine can't handle it. But I can't get Whoop maps to load. So you're whooping in 5-inch maps. Like I remember the first race I had in that series was in Apartment or something. And it was like going from bottom story to upper story and like through the kitchen. And there were like 8 gates in the bathroom. It was all kinds of crazy. It was crazy. Bobby Bags is going. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I really hope that I get to go. If they don't have the surgery before that, if I can walk by then, if they do. I don't know if it's going to be before that, but my plan is to be there in attendance for that race. I'm really looking forward to doing that. I like to meet everybody in person that I get to talk to from up there. I've been wanting to go up that way for a long time and, just meet Bot and all kinds of stuff, but I never get the opportunity. But my wife said that I should do it, and I did it this time. So I'm going to be there. Bobby Back says the Whooptopia 2024 main track is pretty good. I haven't played the 2024 one. I think I played the 22. I played a Whooptopia track back when I was doing a lot more Whoop racing. Nick FPV asks why I don't race there. Because I really don't have quads to do it with. Yep. I'm not geared out for it. I mean, I have quads, but they're not Whoop race quads. They're not going to be competitive. I probably will bring some stuff and fly, and I might fly the track, but it's not going to be as racing. I'm not going to compete. I want to be there for fun. Everybody else can have the fun. I'll sim race. I don't have nearly enough tiny whoops to do that. So most of the tiny whoops I have go to other people. A lot of people that I know locally here want to get into flying, so I lend them everything I have, and a bunch of it's lent out. But yeah. Morton Upshot bought Veloster to fly in the U.S. Air Force Museum, but that map doesn't appear to be available anymore. Sad. Yeah, that race is really cool. The one that they do in the U.S. Air Force Museum is really awesome. Ligma wants to see some Supernova 1404s. Well, I suspect that RC and Power and Chris Ross are probably working on some other sizes. It would only make sense to me. So I imagine we see a lot more sizes. I don't know if 1404 will be one of them, though. I would expect it to be a 15-something or 16-something, but probably not a 14. Because 1404s are kind of mid for most things. They work well, but not on everything. But a 15, when you get into 3.5 inch, is a good place to be. And I suspect that's kind of where he might target. Not that I know anything, but yeah, it could happen. Morton Upshot says the Air Force Base used to be in his backyard. Well, what did you do to have an Air Force Base in your backyard? Pretty suspicious. 420 volt says 1404 for 3.5 inch KV. So 1404, if you're going to run 6S, you'd probably want somewhere around 2800 KV in 3.5 inch. If you're going to run 4S, you'd probably want somewhere around 4000 KV. Somewhere in there. Maybe like 4200. I don't like 1404s on 3.5 inch. Even this little Darwin quad, which, by the way, with a pack on it, weighs less than 250 grams and can fly like 6 minutes if I want it to, has 1504s. Just a little bit bigger motor. 1404 is a little bit choked on 3.5 inch props. If you're going to run 4-inch bi-blades, 1404 is really good because you don't need all that extra torque because they're 2 blades instead of 3. But yeah, 15 is kind of where I live for 3.5 inch. 15, 16, and 18 motors are kind of my mini quad, not micro because that's down to like 65 millimeter. But 1404s are magnificent for 3-inch though, says Ligma. Yeah, that's where they start to make more sense. Is around the 3-inch, 2.5 inch, or 4-inch bi-blade, 3-inch bi-blade. 1404s can be really good for that. Ligma wants them for your tiny trainer. I have flown a tiny trainer once. Somebody actually lent me one, and I raced it a little bit, and that's an interesting quad. I imagine it feels very much like a Racer 4 would feel if it were scaled down, which is kind of the idea. I really like the whole idea of the regulated hardware racing circuit, where they tell you what you can and can't run within a certain limit, and they have to inspect your firmware and stuff, because that means all of the advantage is up to the pilot. If the pilot's a good pilot, they will win, instead of a pilot having more money than another pilot, which I'm not ever a fan of. But kind of like NASCAR, they all kind of race the same car, but whoever's the best driver wins. Same kind of stuff. NASCAR is probably not the best example because that's more about the money. But Rain Squad runs the 533 motors on Tiny Trainer. Yeah, that's the ones they really want you to have, is the 533s. But yeah, Morton Upshot has a Tiny Trainer frame in your desk. Got it from Tweet on his last show. Nice. I didn't build a Tiny Trainer. I forgot who lent me theirs. Yep, the same person who, when I had the Orca goggles and made that video, that person sent me a Tiny Trainer as well. And I flew their Tiny Trainer for a while, and it was all right. It's just heavy for 1404s. And that's the point. It's not supposed to be super responsive. That kind of racing is kind of geared for less acrobatic flying, it makes it more challenging. Ligma runs the SpeedyBee 1404s. They are durable. I have never run any SpeedyBee motors, if that's surprising. Never, ever have I run SpeedyBee motors. I have a lot of SpeedyBee stuff. I don't own any SpeedyBee frames, and I don't have any SpeedyBee motors. Just the electronics. I do have one of their analog modules I need to try out, though. But, yeah. I tend to like, if I want to go to a budget line of motor, I go Emax Eco. I'll do the iFlight Xing E line, or I will do Mamba Toka. Those are it's kind of where I center myself for budget stuff. Can I get a channel? Says his grandfather was a rear admiral in the U.S. Navy. My uncle was captain of the 1st Squadron Fleet. Father also a graduate of Annapolis. Helped create the internet. ARPANET. Facts. ARPANET, man. Crazy stuff. It's crazy where we came from. Just someone had this idea. Let's send zeros and ones down a wire and see what you do. And then look at us now. My ugly bacony face is over the internet. It's crazy. Rain Squad says 533 just put out a new tiny trainer. What? I haven't been to 533 site in a while. Voice for champions. Yeah, they make some cool stuff. I bought my stick ends from 533 for a long time. They put out a new tiny trainer. Let me see. Let's get my screen shared. I got to look from over here to do it though. Share screen. 533. Share. Let's see. Tiny Trainer HD. Is that what we're talking about? Is this the new one? It looks nice. HD TPU kit. I like the shell stuff. Oh, it's in 4 pieces now. Was it always in 4 pieces or 5 pieces like this? I feel like these were attached to the body at some point before. I like that they're not, because you can replace them easier. Ready to fly. 3.5-inch RTF for $489. Huh. That's really not bad for a stock racing quad. $489 is pretty reasonable. HG0, and that's DJI. HG0 is $439, and you can get analog for $399. Why would you get an analog Tiny Trainer HD though? That doesn't make any sense. But HG0 for $439, that's pretty good. Let's look at the specs on this thing. What are they packing in here? No LED kit, ELRS. Let's see. If you use the LED kit, you can't get ELRS. It must be out of stock. Wow. Okay. Low stock. 8 items left. I bet. 1804. So even this one's running 1804s. That's cool. Oh, and yeah, Chris Croft says that was done in the V2 Tiny Trainer. Thanks. Yeah. I guess I flew a V1 because it was still attached to the top. And I'm like, God, if you crack one of those arms, you're replacing this whole thing? Urgh. Let's see. Limitations of liability. That's right on here. AIO Beta FPV 4S F405. Probably not one of my first picks. 1804 Tiny Turners. So 1804 motors. That's nice. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot of spec other than that. That's it. Watch the keynote. But I guess no LED kit. Let's see if we get an LED kit with Crossfire. HG0 is $481. I mean, you can get your foot in the door for $439 if you're willing to not have LEDs. And personally, I wouldn't care about the LEDs, honestly. But that's pretty cool. I didn't know they were doing RTFs of that even. But it looks like it's come a long way. I wonder how many people actually fly these in races. I'm sure. I mean, a lot of you guys say you have them, so I'm assuming that's a lot. But I've never been to a race where it was all these. But I think it'd be really cool. Can I get a channel ask which VTX V2 Freestyle? It doesn't say. When you pick, it doesn't say what the VTX is. I was hoping we'd have more specs than that. I'm assuming it is. Well, no. Why would it be? I mean, they're putting a Vista in the DJI one. That's for sure. Or a Link. We won't say Vista. We'll say Link. But I don't know why you'd put a 1-watt transmitter in here. You could. If there's a room for a Vista, there's room for the V2. I don't know. But it seems like a pretty reasonable price for $439, and you don't have to do any work to it for a stock quad racing circuit. But V2 is 20 millimeters. Can I get a channel? V2 is 20 millimeters. Yes. So I'm assuming it will fit in a Vista hole, but I don't know why they would put a full 1-watt transmitter in one of these. It seems like you would be better served to have a lighter transmitter since you can't modify some other things about the race requirements for this quad. So you'd put a lighter one in with 200 milliwatts and save yourself a lot of grams. Yeah. Ligma says, I thought V2 was 25 by 25. No, it's 20 by 20. Yeah, it's like the exact same form factor as a Vista, which is what we all wanted when the first Freestyle came out, which is really nice. I'm glad they did that. Can I get a channel? Naked VTX. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to something like this, and I'd have to go read the regulations, but if you want to slight up on your opponents, you would definitely go to weight. You would start taking a look at how light you can build this to keep the response up and the speed up for your pack. That's really the only variance, unless there's some kind of it must weigh at least this much and not more than this much requirement. It's possible. But yeah, I have my V2 VTX still in the Grinderino, which is on my list of videos to make at some point when I make videos. But yeah, can I get a channel that says HDZ for life? Yeah, I like HC0. Carl's always been pretty transparent about things, and I have always enjoyed their hardware. They've come a long way. I first bought into HG0 whenever it was still Sharkbite. I mean, a lot of people did, but that's how long I've been flying HG0, back when it had the Fat Shark logo on the VRX. So, oh, Chris Croft says it's a different spec for the Tiny Trainer HD. Oh, okay. Well, then that might make up for the differences. If they have a different spec list and the Vista is in there, they may be manipulating the weight to make them similar. It's possible. Ligma says HackRC makes a really good 2 to 6S AIO that's F7. Mama does too. Mama does make a good one. I'm running, and I wouldn't put it in a race squad, I'm running one of Axis's new ones, Axis Flying, and it's been really, really good. It's the only F7 AIO I think I have at the moment. I know for a long time people were running the H7, I think it was an H7, the iFlight Beast F7 or H7 for a lot of the AIOs and 6S, but yeah. The poly is 5.8 grams. I'm talking micros. Poly. Yeah, the Rain Squad ordered the 533 Freestyle frame. What's their Freestyle frame? I didn't look at that one. Which one are you talking about? Because there's a lot of frames. the flip switch, the light switch, the footy is a Freestyle frame technically. I haven't seen the flip switch. What's their flip switch? Which one are you talking about, Rain Squad? Yeah, I would assume it's the flip switch based on the video I just saw. Man, they're doing a lot of RTFs over here lately. I didn't realize that 533 was doing so much ready to fly. Interesting. Evan Turner has some good ideas here. I like it. Yeah, Crash FPV says, my point is that for these micros, AIOs are almost all F4. Yeah, they're almost all F4. F411 a lot of times too, not even 405. And so, to be fair, when Ligma says F4s are dying tech, yes and no. The whole F line is dying tech. F405 processors are actually still very viable as far as CPU cycle and like CPU capability. It's the onboard DRAM that's the issue. So it's only dying because Betaflight keeps getting bigger. The F7s have more onboard flash, so we can put more stuff on there. But now that we have the cloud configuration and we can pick and choose what components of Betaflight are built into our particular build, we can minimize some of that. So like if I don't need OSD for some reason because I don't need to run an OSD chip. I can leave that off, and that saves room on chip. So the F405 gets a little bit more use case. It will eventually depreciate. In fact, all of them will eventually depreciate, and we'll probably wind up in H series processors. But yeah, the F7, it also comes to the price. The F405 is much cheaper. Yeah, Moise says F405 V3 still going strong. Yeah, the 405s are still good. I don't like 411s. 411 can go ahead and die. That's fine. The F411 is Dunskies. 2 UARTs, no thank you. We have too much crap on board for 2 UARTs now, regardless of how reasonable the CPU is. But they put 411s in just because they're cheaper. Since they have less GPIO on chip, which means you only wind up with 2 UARTs, they're significantly cheaper to buy. And that's why we wind up with so many of them. Yeah, Rain Squad says flip switch. I was just checking before I showed it. Yeah, I hit the wrong button. There we go. The flip switch, $74. Let's look. Let's look here. Let's look at this thing. So it's got a single point mount in there, or a single point standoff in the back. That's interesting. I've seen a couple of frames do that. Let's see. Do we have any turned pictures? Oh, there's Evan. There's Evan Turner messing with it. Aluminum front. Some of the pictures are confusing. It has, that's kind of odd with the GoPro mount on top, but I guess this is an isolation for your GoPro built into the standoff. It looks like the TPU is standoff. The TPU is around the standoff for some isolation. But yeah, interesting little frame. I think they've been, I mean, 533 has been making a lot of frames lately. I didn't realize they had so many out. But I know they worked on the footy a while back, and I thought, well, that's an interesting thing. I don't know that I'd ever fly the footy. It was kind of weird. You could build it upside down and do something different with it if you wanted to run the pack either at center of gravity or not. But it was an interesting thought. Chris Croft says, I think the AT32 processor will be more popular after Betafly 4.5 is released. Yes, AT32. I've seen a bunch of boards coming out with that for sure. I think that we're going to see a lot more. Crash FPV, are there no light F7 AIOs from micros? No. Unfortunately, so the problem is not that they couldn't put it on there, because they could put it on there. It's that you can't cram that much GPIO on the board anyway, so you can't put 6 UARTs on a micro board. There's just not enough physical space to have that plus an ESC on there and all the other things. And it would make the cost of that AIO so expensive that nobody would want to buy it. Yeah, so technically the F7 Argus from Axis Flying could be in a micro. It has a 25 by 25 mounting pattern. You can take the aluminum off the top and bottom, but are you going to spend $130 on a micro flight controller ESC that may die? Probably not. So there's just not a big market looking for it, is all. Most of the lightweight ones are going to be F411 because they don't have enough room for more than two UARTs, and they're not carrying GPS or anything else, so it's more cost effective, and that's why we see them. But I do think the AT32 is going to be a big deal. Yeah, the AT32 is definitely going to do some things. Yeah, Crash FPV says AT32 doesn't have a target on 4.4. Yeah, but it's all over 4.5. Absolutely, it is. Rain Squad runs a Blitz in the Demibot. Yeah, I like my iFlight, or not my iFlight. I keep saying iFlight. It's Axis Flying. I like the AIO I have in it, but it does not fit. If you use 25 by 25 diamond mounting in my Grinderino, the Demibot's totally different. It would fit fine in a Demibot. In the Grinderino, I have a 25 by 25 mounted AIO, and when you mount something like that, you can't fit a VTX the size of a Vista in the rear without hitting the plug on the front. So my V2 Freestyle HG0 VTX is off center so that I can still make it cram in there. But Chris Cross has a Neutron RC AIO that survived your crashing all day while trying to race. I have seen Neutron RC stuff popping up lately. I got an email from them a while back, I think, and I don't think I accepted their offer to look at something just because I knew I wouldn't have time, and it wouldn't be like, I didn't want them to send me something and then wait 6 months for me to look at it, because that doesn't help anybody. By then you'll have seen 10 videos about it, already know everything you need to know, and I'm not going to have them send something to me for that. But it seems like a lot of people are enjoying them. I don't think you're alone there. Crash FPV says, Blitz for the win. I just don't like iFlight's electronics, man. Like, I know that they're either really good or really bad. There's no in between. Either they last forever or they break immediately. And I've had to break immediately every time. Bobby Bags, you're decorating your tree right now? A little late this year. Yeah, it's December 10th, buddy. You got 20 days left. Mine's been up since right after Thanksgiving. My family literally went and sat in the back room and put it together as soon as I got done eating dinner. It was the thing to do. Matt Hacker says, I'll take HGLRC over iFlight. Yeah, I probably would too. I'm just not a fan of the iFlight electronics. Never have been. Ligma likes the Hobbywing X rotors. I have a lot of Hobbywing stuff that is not quads, and I like all of it. I have not been a fan of the Hobbywing electronics for quads. But maybe that's because of my prior experience with Hobbywing ground vehicle things. And what I expect from Hobbywing in those. It just doesn't feel like it's the same quality for the price compared to their really nice ESCs and all kinds of stuff they have for ground vehicles. But it probably has nothing to do with the actual usability of it. I hear a lot of people really do like them. I just didn't have the experience I guess I was looking for the cost. Rain Squad says we run the same board on the Grinderino. So the same iFlight board, is that what you're talking about, Rain Squad? Or do you run the Axis board that I run? Because if you do, you know exactly how tight that sucker was to get in there. It looks really good once it's in there, and it flies really freaking well. I'm looking forward to doing that video. It's a hell of a quad. It just is not fun to build with that AIO on the 25x25. Matt Hacker tried some rush stacks, the F7s, and none of them had working barometers. That blows. Like, did the barometer show up, though, and it just didn't work? Or did it report a bad altitude or anything? Because I've had some where the barometer was perfectly fine. It's just the target. So, like, the Betaflight target didn't include the correct barometer, and I had to go change it. And I just got no reporting. Then I've had some that were just, like, thought I was 1,000 feet in the air when I was on the ground. Yeah, Matt Hacker says bad altitude. Yep, then bad. No good. Nothing you can do for that one. Offer Quad 6 says my USB Christmas tree died 2 years ago. What's your USB Christmas tree? How do you have a Christmas tree that's USB? What do you do with this Christmas tree that requires a computer connection? So I'm a nerd, right? Obviously, we're sitting here talking about FPV quads. I've been really wanting to do the whole like decorate your house and the addressable LED thing. It's super expensive though, but I've been wanting to. And I know some people that have. I just know that as soon as I do it, I'm going to spend all of my money and all of my time, and I'll never see the light of day again. But it sounds like a lot of fun. Energy asks, what do you think of the Vanny Style Pro frame? Let me go look that one up again. It has been a second. Vanny Style Pro. Style Pro. PD frame. Vanny Style. All right, let's share the screen. Let's share the screen. We'll look at it, NRG, because, yeah. This is one of the things that I had peeked at. All right, so there's the Vanny Style Pro frame. Yeah, I think that the arm, so it's a split deck, which I always enjoy split deck. I think that the arm insertion angles are going to cause the arms to get broken at the bottom plate at some point. It depends on how much you crash. I wouldn't say this is a frame for like heavy duty bashing. Also, this arm protection being the single point motor horn, probably not for running into a bunch of things. But if you're Alex Vanover, you don't run into a bunch of things, so it's perfectly fine. The arm thickness looks good. The width looks like you might have some torsional vibration at some point. The wider the arm is, the less torsional vibration from the motors, the better that is. The camera protection, I think, is pretty good. I always like this standoff thing that they do with the horizontal standoff for GoPro attachment. I always really like that. I would probably rather see the camera cage be aluminum than carbon, but carbon is perfectly fine. He's also doing the single point standoff in the rear, which is fine if you design antenna mounts for that, which a lot of people are doing now. That's kind of a newer thing. This also is designed to be a toilet tank frame, so the battery goes sideways instead of back to front. Yeah, I enjoy a toilet tank when the frame's designed for it. Freestyling with it's fine. This is probably really terrific for the style of freestyle that Alex Vanover does. And you know, if you're flying like Alex Vanover, then this is a frame that will do a very good job for you. The overall length of the body is a little bit short. I think this is going to be a really tight build. But yeah, I assume that because the arm taper is minimal and they're narrow, and the insertion point where the arm meets the bottom plate is not tapered or thickened, you're going to have broken arms. That's going to happen. So this isn't a basher, but it's probably a really solid performer for traditional smoother freestyle. Yeah, that would be my take on it. I do feel like the price is a bit high at $99. I don't see $99 worth of things here. There's not CNC aluminum for the camera cage, which would be a cost driver. It's all cut carbon standoffs and screws. So I don't see $100, but you know, it's if Alex Vanover spent a bunch of time on it, that's totally possible. But it comes in a squished and a TrueX. If I were going to pick one, I would probably pick the TrueX. Rain Squad says he got his Walk Snail Goggles X. Well, you're one of the lucky ones, man. A lot of people are still on their Facebook page saying, where's my order? Where's my order? I do not have any coming. So let me know what you think, Rain Squad. Let me know what you think of those. Matt Hacker likes the GoPro mount on JB's QAV frame. Wish many manufacturers adopted that. Everybody has so many different varying opinions on how to mount their GoPros. Yeah, it's I kind of like, so the first person I remember seeing mount a GoPro with a 2 standoff design in the front, where you had 2 holes for standoffs, and then you could move the rear standoff based on your angle. I think Bubby did that on a frame. I want to say one of his he had the Moxie. I think the Moxie had that, but I think it was something that Rotor Riot was kind of doing before that he might have adopted. I kind of like that, because I don't change my GoPro angle very much, and I tend to leave them on there. But yeah, there's a ton of ways to do it, and I tend to prefer that whole standoff sideways thing. Energy asks, what's my favorite frame? My favorite frame at the moment, it changes a lot, because after I fly this, my mind might change. I don't know. This looks promising. This is the Freshman, by the way, from Crafted Quads. I've not flown it before, not flown it yet, but this being in my hand makes me feel like I'm probably really going to enjoy this one. But my current favorite frame is the Quadmula Siren F5 Split Mini. That's a long name. But it's their F5 split, so a split deck, F5 being a 5-inch, and the Mini being the light version. So I don't crash a lot either when I fly freestyle. I tend to have space for things. I'm not a basher. So I tend to fly quads, kind of like what Vanover is doing, with narrower arms. And that is my favorite pick. And it's a little bit cheaper than Vanny's. It's a tight build. It's a lower deck height, good quality carbon. The interlock system is very different than some of the other ones with its keyway. And it uses a different stack mounting system than a lot of other things. So that's my favorite one at the moment. But this Freshman looks really freaking promising. I'm excited to try that. When Chow said I should open it and it would make me want to build it, he was totally right. Ligma likes the SpeedyBee Master 5 V2. A lot of people like that. I have not spent a lot of time with it. I flew it a little bit. I don't own one, but yeah. Energy says, can that fit a DJI OG Air Unit like the old DJI Air Unit, not having the Caddx Vista? Probably not. This is mine. So this is my F5 Split Mini. And I don't know if you can see it. There's my link in the back. There is some room. I mean, it might fit. There's about a finger's width of room between my link and the first standoff, and about 3 millimeters behind it. It might be tight. It might be a tight fit. But yeah, like you can see, the arms are fairly narrow. But this one has a taper where the arm follows the plate a little bit, which keeps it from breaking arms as much. But yeah, it just it's not a lot is designed for the OG Air Unit lately, because it's so OG now. A lot of new frames don't really support it. Chow says, pro tip on the F5 Mini, do not use titanium screws on the arm shoulder bolts. No, because you will shear them off, as Chow has learned. You will shear titanium and aluminum bolts. Steel is ductile, which it's hard, but it can also stretch, which means that you have a tendency to not shear it. Titanium and aluminum. Titanium is very strong, but not ductile, which means it will shear instead of bend. Same with aluminum. Aluminum is pretty ductile, but because it's so soft, it kind of rips. So, yeah. Ligma asked, why not, Chow? And I explained it. There you go. I knew what you were thinking, Ligma. I got to it. Moy says, honestly, I'm going to say the Xylo Freestyle because I learned on that one. I think a bunch of people did. Man, the Xylo Freestyle was everywhere. That must have just hit right at the right time for that design to be kind of a more novel thing than it is in today's world of frames. But a ton of people had the Freestyle, man. NRG asks, can the new frame you have that you haven't flown yet fit one? I don't know. I don't know if the freshman. Let me look at Crafted Quad site. Crafted Quads. I have to spell everything out. I have to say everything out as I do it. The freshman. Let's see if it has a support list for. I'll share my screen here. Let's see if it has a support list for what it supports. Let's see. Rear mounting 30 by 30, 25 by 25, 20 by 20. Does it have a I support this or not? It doesn't have an I support this or not. Fits most modern systems and components are incredibly spacious. I would assume it has the room for it. I would have to go get of a I did the wrong thing. I have to go get the measurements of one of those OG air units, but what I can tell you is that this is the end of the stack and this is the beginning of the rear standoffs. There's like a solid 3.5 inches of space back there. So it probably can, but I can't recommend this to you yet from personal experience because I have not flown it. So if you wind up with one of these, just know I have not flown it. It looks really promising. I am very excited by it, and I trust Crafted Quads to make good frames. But like I said, I can't recommend it yet because I have not done it. Ligma says he wants to also give an honorable mention to the TBS Source One frames, $30 in excellent performance, but by far the best budget frame you can get. The TBS Source One frames, TBS allowing that to be open source and everyone to cut it. Amazing what that did for the community and our ability to build cheap quads. It's terrific, and they don't make any money on it unless you buy their carbon, which not everybody's doing. Twisted said, I only fly the Demibot, and Grinderino Freestyle is the only one I like to fly. And yeah, that's totally your style. I have the Grinderino back there. And it's a hell of a thing to fly. I really, really, really like that quad. I want to put about 100 more packs on it because it's the shit. For that little 3.5 inch form factor, it's awesome. Offer Quad 6 says, the old QAV 210 frame doesn't break as fat 3mm arms are like springs. Yeah, the first quad I ever learned on was the Rotor Riot. Yes, the Rotor Riot. They still have it. I gotta look this up. They've updated it, but I've forgotten the name of it. See, drone parts, frames. Get away from you. I don't want your 10% off. I know you can't see this. I'm just looking at my screen. 5-inch frames. What is this thing called? I don't remember. They have the Moxie. It wasn't the Moxie. Vanny Style. CL. Mine was the CL1, not the CL2. The OG CL1. Yeah. There we go. The CL1 5-inch frame. And it has the really wide arms, but they're not 3mm. They're like 5mm really wide arms. And that thing took me forever to break an arm on. Just sheer mass. But it was also an 800-gram quad. So I learned how to fly an 800-gram quad that had a lot of sheer mass, but it was really hard to break parts on. Yeah, the 3mm wide arms are like springs. That's kind of carbon fiber's whole point, does that really well. But yeah, it was interesting learning on such a heavy quad. But yeah, nobody makes those big, wide, chunky arm frames anymore. Let's see here. Oh, Pedro gives us the measurements for the 44 by 37 by 14.4. Let's see. Yeah, I would say that if that's the measurements of the OG Air Unit, that will absolutely fit that. It'll fit that and have plenty of extra room. Tons of extra room in this freshman frame. And the Crafted Quad says that in the listing, that there's a lot of room for electronics, and I don't think that's a lie. I think he tries to consider that. Jeremy Stone says, I haven't found props I like for the Grinderino. I am running Jim Fan. Let me see if I can read them. 3520s. What are you running? What are you running, Jeremy? These are 3520s on my Grinderino, and I really like them. Of course, I am running 6S, and I'm running high KV 6S, and they work really well for that. If I was running lower KV, I would want more pitch, and unfortunately, in these kind of props, 20 is about the pitch you wind up with in a lot of cases. But yeah, I really like these on that. I can't wait to make that video. This thing it's a hell of a time. Moist says, I'd say the best budget is Source One V5, which I was going to get, but one of the Demi bought for Freestyle, so it doesn't break as fast. Yeah, I've broken more arms on the V5 than anything, but it is a good frame. I built the budget build on it because it's affordable. It has a lot of features for the money. But yeah, it's you're going to break some arms. Buy some spare arms. Absolutely. I broke arms just playing with it. That's just it's a cost of entry with that frame. Twisted broke 2 Demibot arms in the same crash, but your GoPro was fine. Hopefully they were in stock to get more. You're welcome, NRG FPV. Your emoji didn't pan out. This is what it does to your emojis when you send them to me, by the way. In the thing that I am reading it in. I get a lot of colons. A lot of colons. I'm like a proctologist. Ton of colons. Pedro says the Emax 3.5 by 2.8 are good too. Are those the avian props, Pedro? Is that what you're talking about? Because avian props are killer. They're awesome. Absolutely they are. Marco G says, can you have the Grinderino with O3 to be under 250 grams? It's going to be really tough. Really, really tough. This frame is not designed to be a light frame. It's designed for bashing. So if you're going to put an O3 Air Unit in, which means you're going to have a lot of camera mass and VTX mass on top of the already high carbon mass, you're going to need bigger motors to sling props to make it responsive. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really, really hard. There's probably a better frame to do a sub 250 gram build on with the O3 Air Unit. What that frame is, I mean, you might want an AOS 3.5. Quadmula has some 3.5 frames that could accomplish that. It's just going to be thinner carbon, which means you're going to have a higher likelihood of breaking things. But if you're not going to freestyle it hard, then yeah. Pedro does say, yes, the avian props. Yeah, the avian props for 3.5 are super great. Yeah, Chow says, I sent Chow a F5 split mini as a trade for one of these quads. I have an AOS 5 that Chow traded me up here. I traded him a frame for a frame. Still have yet to break the arm. I did manage to destroy 2 bottom plates, 1 mid plate, and 1 C-lock. No arms broken, but you know. And he says, that being said, my fault for using titanium shoulder bolts like an idiot. Yes. I won't call you an idiot, Chow, but when you said you were going to use titanium, I foresaw this. Yeah, Jeremy Stone says, you are running the 3520s. Nice, okay. And their least favorite so far. Jim Fan Hurricane 3630s are my favorite so far. But you still have the Emax Avian to try. Try the Avian. You're saying 4S 3800 kV, so not super high-end 4S, but still reasonable. Try the Avian props. I bet you like them. If you don't like the 35 or if you don't like those Jim Fans, you'll probably really like the Avians. Very different blade profiles, and the Avians are like hard to break. They are terrific props. If they made Avians like the 2.5-inch Avians, which I don't have up here somewhere, I dropped a quad with some on it. They have a really long blade taper profile that has a lot of meat toward the base, and the bigger Avians do too. Not as much, but that keeps the prop together really well and keeps it from having deflection whenever you're pushing on it really hard. They do really, really well. Chef says that Darwin 3.5, you can do sub 250 on it. Flies well, just doesn't like concrete. Mine liked concrete just fine. I don't know what you're talking about. I put into concrete quite a bit, but yeah, sub 250. Like I was saying with that 3.5-inch Baby Ape 2 Pro, or just Baby Ape 2. I was getting 5 to 6 minute flights pretty easily on a 550 milliamp hour 6S pack and still staying under 250 grams. Of course, it's analog, so there's not a lot of weight for the camera system. Rain Squad says, I can't get my Grinderino to run on 6S. It freaks out, but I'm running RC Power 1507 3000 Smoxes. Where are mine? I think I'm running at that same kV. Yeah. These are 1506 3000 kV, and I run it on 6S with no motor output limit. So it is possible, Rain Squad. And it flies really well. I haven't even fully tuned it yet. I've barely touched the tuning. Jeremy Stone says, I was hoping for something as grippy as the 4 plays on my Demibot. 4 blades. 4 plays. Grippy. Grip is part of 4 plays on my Demibot, but apparently options are slim and 3.5. Yeah, I think you'll like the Avians. If you like grip, the Avians are going to have a wider blade profile that's going to provide more disc stiffness. So yeah, your 4 play can be stiffer with more grip. I try the Avians. I bet you really like them. Yeah. Chow says more the build. Stack on a fire while doing some night flights in a parking garage. Technically, the frame survived. He's talking about the Baby Ape 2. Yeah. So if I remember, I talked to Chow about this, and what he thinks happened was somehow the stack compressed during the crash. So on the side, the stack compressed, and the flight controller touched the ESC. And because this flight controller is their potted, waterproof flight controller, it has a metal shield on the bottom. So if they compress, bad things happen. I have not had that problem. In fact, mine have standoffs that make it nearly impossible to compress. I suspect that they may have changed the design at some point to either include or exclude that standoff setup. But it would be almost impossible for me to compress that to the point of touching the ESC. But Ligma says, somebody smoke a long-range joint with me. I'll vape with you, buddy. I'll vape with you. We'll hit the vape. And when you're ready, just, hit it. Bobby Bags says, are you joining us on MadTech stream in 29 minutes? No, I want to, though. MadTech is awesome. That dude is awesome. If I could pick one person to, do a video with for technical things, I would pick MadTech. I like Ian. He's a good guy. If I could pick one person to just go rip with, it would probably be Bot Grinder. Because he would probably make anything we do fun. But for technical stuff, I would pick Ian to do a co-video with. It'd be really awesome. Can I get a channel says nicotine is wicked evil? It is. It is. Nicotine is wicked evil. For sure. Rain Squad will take a long range dab with you, Ligma. There you go. Take a long range dab. Not going to get the joint, but you can get a dab. Yeah, Bot Grinder was in the chat earlier. Bot Grinder, he stops by for a second. I know he's super busy, though. He's got his own stuff going on. And I've been super busy. So I haven't been in his for a while. But hopefully I'll get to see him at the East Coast Whoop Championship. As far as I know, he was still going to that, and I will be going. Assuming my knee doesn't get cut open and keep me from walking. But, yeah. Can I get a channel says, I have first-hand knowledge that nicotine is evil. Yeah. Me too, buddy. Me too. Can I get a channel says, Bot's great. He just looks scary. Yeah, he's not scary, though. He does. If you didn't know him, if you hadn't seen him, and you just saw him walking down the street, your expectations of who he is and who he actually is might be very different. That is very true. But I think that might be the point of why he has some of the stuff he has on him. Fatal asks, any update on the Mob Light 7? Yes, but I'm not going to tell you in the live stream. I'll write you in Discord. I'm saving it for a video. Fatal sent me his little whoop, and I'm doing a series along with one from Saggy Balls or Ew, depending on which one you want to use his username as, on Fix My Effing Quad, where they send me their broken things and I fix them. And Fatal's is up next on the Fix My Effing Quad. I am currently finishing up the shooting for Saggy Balls' Fix My Effing Quad. So, yeah. But yeah, I will totally write you, Fatal. I'll write you on Discord. I'll eat dinner after I get done with this, and then I'll write you on Discord. He says that big cups gives me NAM flashbacks, bro. It looks exactly like my late dad's cup. Every dad should have a cup like this. This is my one cup. If I had my way, I'd have one cup, one fork, one plate, one spoon, one knife, and they would be the only ones I own. And I would reuse them over and over again. And the plate would probably be made of stainless steel. No, but I've had this cup for like 4 years. Maybe more than 4 years. It's the only thing that I drink out of, unless I'm drinking a soda, I drink out of that. And it's just water. I never put anything but water in it. Can I Get a Channel says minimalism is awesome. Yes, minimalism is awesome. I try to have nothing that doesn't have utility, except for this wall of quads. But they have utility. It's just not for me. It's utility for you, so that whenever I test something, I have a lot to compare with. But yeah. Chow says, yeah, looks pretty cuddly to me. Go cuddle him, Chow. Go cuddle Bot Grinder and tell me what Bot Grinder says when you cuddle him. I want to know. I want to know what that's like. You tell me how that goes. But yeah, we have about 30 minutes left in the stream, 25-ish. And yeah, if Ian over at Mads Tech is streaming soon, you should definitely go check out his stream. He is worth watching. He knows a lot of things, and he's in a lot of circles. He did some early stuff with the Walk Snail Goggles X, and I think he's put out several things since then about different issues and variances that have happened. So if you're into those, definitely go check out his stream. I highly recommend taking the time to watch him if you haven't before. And if you have, go say hi for me over in his stream, because I won't be able to do it. But Ricardo says, Diatone Mamba has on their website F435 AT32 FC for $21. But the last few weeks I have found 0 reviews of it. So they have it for, okay, let's go. Let's go to Mamba's site. We're going to go. Mamba. Diatone. You said that they have the F435. I have talked to a couple people about this F35. Newer product available. F405. Yeah, F35. So the F35, this is not, oh, that's F405. I clicked the wrong thing. It said F405. I can't read. Now you know. I can't read. Let's see, the F435. This is just the paperwork, though. I don't see the actual thing. Let's just go to Mamba's site, diatone.us. Mamba FC, Mamba stack. We'll go to their stacks. So you said they have an F435. Yep, it's right here, $21 from $21. But no reviews, huh? No FC, no ESC. Look at this. You can't get it in any configuration they make it, and it's $42 instead of $21. What's up with that? What's up, Husho Matthew? You're late, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so a couple things right off. This whole thing in the top, every manufacturer should do this, and they should slap it on top of their flight controller before they send it out. Because that is amazing. The wiring diagram is literally laid on top of the plugs. You know how hard it is for people who don't do a lot of plug work to go find this and understand what plug has what in it? So hard. This makes life so much easier, and it tells you about the specs and everything. Yes, every manufacturer, please do this to your plug modified boards. Please. $30, it says, but it says from $21. I don't know. We'll know more when Betaflight 4.5 comes out, because it'll support the AT32. And I'm running some boards that already have Betaflight 4.5 and the AT32. I happen to enjoy it. It seems to be good. But yeah, I haven't seen any reviews on it either. I just don't think it's widely available because it is not currently supported in Betaflight. But that whole thing on the top there, man. Ligma says, I'd like it even for plugless boards. Yeah, it would be harder for plugless boards because there's nothing to stick it to. But hell yeah, man. Anything you can slap that kind of silkscreen clear overlay on top of and ship it to us with it on there, yes, please. Absolutely. Let's see here. I got to take a big drink. Bioki, what prop would you recommend for Quadmula Siren F3 RC 1507 4300 kV 4S? What prop would I recommend? Well, let's see. What am I running? So you're talking about the F3. Oh, I don't have my 3-inch props on here. Let's see. I was running HQ 3x3x3. That's what it was. They were the HQ 3x3x3 props. That's what I liked to run on my Siren F3 build. I was running a little bit bigger motors, but your KV range is probably about where I was on 6S, but you're on 4. So yeah, I would try the HQ 3x3x3 props. That's kind of where I was in your KV and motor size range. Curtis Hayes says, you can't configure 4.5 over Bluetooth yet. Over Bluetooth in the Betaflight configurator or over Bluetooth in the SpeedyBee app? Because I know the SpeedyBee app will have to get updated to support it for sure. But yeah, I actually haven't used the over Bluetooth function in Betaflight. So you can, if you have Bluetooth on your computer, you can address a serial port in your flight controller via Bluetooth. It's just kind of a thing to set up. But I assume you might be talking about the SpeedyBee app. Yeah, the app on phone. I have not used the Betaflight Android app in forever, the official Betaflight Android app. I went to using the SpeedyBee app because it has so much more features packed into it. And I feel like that app for Android, being that you have to download an APK from the GitHub and then be a developer to install it on your phone and all those things, just really lack the feature set. It's probably been, I haven't used the official Betaflight app on my phone since 4.1. I think 4.1 was the last one I installed on my Android phone. And then I went to the SpeedyBee app, and I've been much happier ever since. So if you haven't tried the SpeedyBee app, you might try that, but it won't support 4.5 until after Betaflight releases 4.5, which I don't have any insight on to when that is, but I suspect it won't be too long. It's been hanging into release candidate for a while now, and they're already releasing boards. Like the board that's in my Grinderino right now came with 4.5 on it, and it has no target for 4.3. So, yeah. Curtis Hayes says, I've had the SpeedyBee the USB pop off. Yeah, you're not alone there, for sure. That has happened. That's one of the things that I've seen happen. I've never had it happen to me. So in my personal experience, it has not been a thing. But on the Discord, I have seen several people have that happen. And at least you have the wireless connectivity. But if it's got 4.5 on it, yeah, you're kind of screwed for apps until the SpeedyBee app gets updated. 420 volt says, I hate apps, PC guy. Yeah. Twisted says, why would my ESC keep beeping when I plug it in? So there's a couple reasons. There's a few reasons, actually, why your ESC will just keep beeping. One would be RX loss. So if you have it plugged into your flight controller, the ESC plugged into flight controller, and it comes on and you have it thinks it's armed for some reason, RX loss will continue to beep. If you're in flip over after crash mode, you'll have a constant beep. There's a few other things. What I would do is plug it into a computer. So ESC, flight controller, everything put together, plug it into a computer, look at Betaflight configurator, and see what your arming flags are. Because I'm sure that whatever's causing your beep is due to something in that arming flags list. And there are also options in that first configuration page to turn off things for what causes your beeping to happen. So you might be able to find the thing related to that arming flag that you can disable in the configuration page to keep the beeping from happening, but definitely fix whatever the arming flag is because there's probably something going on or it wouldn't be beeping at you. But definitely use Betaflight to look at that. Moise says, my Bluetooth is dedicated to UART4 on my F405 V3. I use Betaflight on my PC and phone, but the SpeedyBee app is a lot easier in the field. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. It's nice to just whip it out. In fact, I rarely use the Wi-Fi. I just I plug in with a cord on my Android phone. You can't really do that if you have an iPhone, but yeah, I plug in with a cord and use the SpeedyBee app just over USB. I have a host bus adapter to go from regular USB cable to the right one for my phone, and yeah, it's nice. It works really well. I plug in, I do a little bit of PID tuning or changes, and just let it go. Chow uses Betaflight Lua script for 75% of his tuning adjustments. I really don't see the appeal of using apps anymore. I'd rather plug in if need to change or review something that isn't a Lua. Yeah, I just don't like the variance of Lua. Like when I want to update something, I can't guarantee that Lua script is going to function correctly, even though it might, and it might not ever have problems, or I might not ever update my radio. I just know the app is more up to date with current versions of Betaflight than I will probably keep that Lua up to date, because I will not update that Lua script. It'll be on that SD card, and I'll never think about it again. Offer Quad 6 says ELRS Betaflight pass-through is easier than Wi-Fi to do. Yeah. It's pretty nice. You can do that on most things and it works out really well. The problems that I tend to have are people who are flashing ELRS for the first time, just getting the right boxes selected when you're doing the Betaflight pass-through, making sure the quad's properly powered up, and a lot of times they'll not be able to flash it, and it turns out to be their TX and RX not properly connected to the flight controller. There's just a lot more troubleshooting steps. If you're doing the Wi-Fi, it's pretty clear by the light what mode you're in and if you're able to connect to it or not. So it tends to be a lot easier to troubleshoot for your first time if you're doing it over Wi-Fi. But once you've got some experience with it, going to a USB flashing method is totally fine. Yeah, it works out pretty well. I've had more failures over USB pass-through than Wi-Fi, but they're all failures that I can figure out. But on the first ones, the Wi-Fi tends to be easier because there's just less to break down. Yeah. And Offer Quad 6 says had to do it that way. It's a PPRX. You bought the PP. Well, Chow sent me the PP, but this is not a receiver. It's just a PP. I've never bought a PPRX. I've always bought the RP. RP? Yes. I don't know. Whatever the other one is. Can I Get a Channel says Crossfire exclusive. I know I'm missing out a lot in ELRS. Hey, man, as long as you like it, it doesn't matter. If Crossfire makes you happy, you can get the parts, and you like the way it builds and works, and you know it, then hell, it doesn't matter how good ELRS is or anything else. I don't feel like you're missing out on anything as long as you're happy with what you fly. Because if you're not happy with what you fly, then you're missing something. But oh yeah, Bobby Bag says EP1. It's the EP, not the PP. My bad. It's about the EP, not the PP. But anyway, if you're happy with what you fly, you're not missing anything. That's all I'm saying. Because the whole point is just to have fun. We said, why did TBS have to do two protocols, Tracer and Crossfire? I've messed that up and spent a whole day trying to get Tracer module to bind to a Crossfire RX. Yep. Well, I mean, they're two very different technologies. So Crossfire is Tracer is more like ELRS than Crossfire is. Crossfire is a 900 megahertz protocol, so that's the wavelength of it, and it uses a specific set of RF chips. Tracer is more like ELRS. In fact, I think there's some things you can do to flash ELRS to Tracer equipment. You can't go back though once you've done it. But the chipsets, the low raw protocols and things that it uses are very much like ELRS, and it's a 2.4 gigahertz protocol. So the wavelength is totally different. The RF stages are totally different, and the RF chips that run it are totally different. So they can't bind with each other at all. They're just not. There's nothing in common between them to make a common ground enough for them to bind. But Digital Cruiser, PP on PP. Yes, it's PP on PP. Chow said one is for racing, the other is for range moist. Yeah, well, yeah. 900 megahertz is typically where we go for range. 2.4 gigahertz is usually where we go for more bandwidth or quicker response time because there's more peaks and valleys in that signal than a 900 megahertz will be. MoBlades has been slowly moving from Crossfire to ELRS. On ELRS, I'm doing emergency recovery with a bind button for each RX I need to update. Wait, no, I don't. Yeah. My experience with Crossfire has been that. It was never easy for me to update Crossfire. It was never easy for me to update FR Sky. The couple times I updated a XM Plus receiver for FR Sky, I just wanted to throw it in the trash. And, compared to that, ELRS is a cakewalk. I think a lot of people who flash ELRS or get ELRS and come into it and see it as being really complicated, they're not wrong. It is very complicated. But I didn't have to solder something to the receiver and then plug it into my radio and then enable stuff on my radio and load it from an SD card. That's much more difficult. And that's the way you have to do it on FR Sky. So yeah, it's a whole mess. There's no easy button for receivers at the moment, unless you're running DJI, in which case the whole thing is an easy button. DJI has made that as consumable and as non-technical as anything can ever make it. I would love to see ELRS get to that level of push button on receiver, push button on radio. It doesn't matter at all what any of them are set up to do. They flash over the air with each other. It's just done. It would be terrific. And technically, you can kind of do some of that right now, but you can't update over the air. And too many manufacturers make ELRS gear for them to do some kind of unified target where every manufacturer's version of that board is in the firmware. It would be kind of a mess. But Can I Get a Channel says, I have a lot of TBS stuff. A lot. Yeah. I don't have any Crossfire anymore. I've gotten rid of all of it. Moise says, I thought I was running Crossfire because of how I had set up on the FC, but now I know I had Tracer and it's really freaking good. Yeah, Tracer is a really good protocol. You just don't get as much range out of Tracer as you will ELRS, but if that's not something you care about, then have fun. Like I said, whatever you have, if you enjoy it, then it's exactly what you need. There's no... Everybody spends so much time comparing their rigs and their gear to other people's rigs and gear, but everybody has different wants and needs out of their gear. And if yours is meeting yours, then nobody can tell you it's bad. It's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter if they don't like it or, it's that manufacturer has burned them 30 times. As long as you like it, then I got to keep flying it and be happy with it. Chow says, I may mess around with 900 megahertz ELRS soon. Oh, man. Those big old antennas. It's not for me. Not for me. Rain Squad says kind of salty. No SD card included with the walk snail goggles. I don't think I've ever gotten a pair of digital goggles that had an SD card with them. So I don't think that's uncommon. But let me know what you think of them, though. I think it's really interesting. I won't own a pair for at least a year. So don't expect a review from me. Caddx is not going to send me any, and I don't have the money for that. But yeah, I'm interested to see what people think once they start flying them. I'm also interested to see what comes of Caddx's whole 4K thing, and I think trying to compete with the O3 unit. We're going to see where that goes. And, how can they compete with DJI in the O3 space? We'll see. Moise says, I still get decent range from it. Got out pretty far before. Got a warning. Don't know how far I'll probably get a GPS and test it out. Yeah, I think that who was it that messed with Tracer? I want to say it was Mr. Steele. Was it Mr. Steele that went Tracer from Crossfire? Because he has his need for freestyle is very responsive, so it's almost like he needs the response of a race quad. I think he went to that and he noticed some things about distance that were very different from Crossfire. But he did like the protocol itself as far as the response, and that was the whole point of Tracer anyway. In TBS's arsenal was to get a better protocol for racing that gave them more response, because Crossfire, you can run 50 hertz or 150 hertz, which realistically, most people don't need anything more than 50 hertz. 150 hertz is way more than most people will ever need. But 250 hertz is what I fly, and I like it. It is what it is. It depends on the pilot. But for Mr. Steele, he can absolutely tell. Can I Get a Channel says, there's 54 people in here and only 39 likes. Just because they're here doesn't mean they like it. I've been to a lot of places that I didn't like, but by God, I was still there. For quad's sake, you have 30 plus tracer receivers, a few Crossfire and ELRS. Nice. You got a good mix in there. For quad's sake, yeah. Tracer, I just leave it on ludicrous mode power output. Yeah, just as high a power output as you can get it, for sure. Absolutely. You want to crank that output on Tracer because the inherent range just isn't as high. I don't remember. So I said low raw earlier, and that might not be accurate. What's the other one? So ELRS uses low raw, which is the way it handles its transmission that allows it to have high packet frequency over long distances and still be able to receive it. FLRC, that's the other one I'm thinking of. That's another way to do it, which is very, very, very fast. It can go up to like 1,000 hertz polling rate. ELRS can do that too. It can operate in low raw or FLRC mode. So it can either get really long range at reasonable packet rates, or it can get really fast packet rates at way less range. And Tracer is FLRC. That's right. Crossfire is still low raw. So Crossfire 900 megahertz is low raw long distance. Tracer is FLRC high polling rate short distance. Right. ELRS does have both now, but in the TBS world, that's where it differentiates. So, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's all about what works for you. For me, it's ELRS because I want something cheap. I want a bunch of manufacturers to make it so I don't have to worry about one place having it out of stock and not being able to get it for 6 months. I want it to be open source so that I can see inside of it and tinker with it when I want to. And that's just my personal needs. But for some people, Crossfire or Tracer, they want to get something that one company makes so the software is well controlled. They want to press a button for over-the-air updates. They want to do those kind of things much easier. And for some people, that is what they get out of it, is easy button for things they want. I'm just not that person. And a lot of it is the cost consideration for me. I have a lot of ELRS stuff with it pre-built in, and I like Crossfire. I just really hate the long antennas. I know I can get ELRS with the really wide antennas, the big old 900 megahertz Immortal T's, but I like the much smaller antenna for the really long range. But Twisted said, I don't know. All it said was RC failsafe and it's beeping like crazy. Yeah, it doesn't see your receiver. So there's something up with either your receiver itself, the wiring to the receiver, or the configuration of your receiver in the receiver's tab. Your flight controller does not see your receiver, and it's freaking out because it thinks it should. It's thinking that it should see the receiver, or it did see it for a second, and then it didn't. So you might have a wire that's loose. That happens. You might have a bad receiver. That happens. You might have a bad antenna on that receiver. That happens. But it will beep until it gets a valid receiver signal. Once it's gotten one once, if it goes away, it will continue to beep. I turn that off on my quads, but it won't let you arm it either. Chow says, too long, didn't read. 50 hertz is really good range of penetration unless you're near a cell tower. 150 hertz better. Stick feels terrible range with comparable output power. Yes. The higher the packet frequency, the lower your output range is. That's just the way it works. 420 volt. You've begun FPV with FlySky, then directly with ELRS. Nice. Yeah, I had a lot of FlySky for ground vehicles. I had some FrSky for ground vehicles too. But my first quads were on FrSky. I bought the CL1 kits from Rotor Riot back when you could get them for like, I don't know, they were less than $200 for the frame, the motors, the flight controller, all the things out the door. But they had FrSky in them. So I had to use XM Plus. I believe I used XM Plus for one. Then I used the nicer one. I can't remember what the name of it is. Or maybe it wasn't a nicer one. They were two different receivers. But after I fail-safed those a few times, I was done. And I started exploring for other things. I went to ELRS back when you still had to put the ELRS together. Like it didn't come in a box that you slapped in your radio. You had to buy the board. You had to put that in an enclosure that you printed and then put that in your radio. That's the first ones I had. And then I tried some Crossfire too, but that one wasn't for me. So I stuck with ELRS. But yeah, I've been on ELRS for a very long time. And Mark says, I have a drone with ELRS and SPI ELRS on board. I also have one loose on with ELRS ceramic antenna. What's the average range for those? Too scared to try. It can actually be really good. So the ceramic antenna itself is not going to have as much gain as the full Immortal T antennas, but it's still not bad. I can't tell you what the average range is going to be because it's very build dependent. If you have that ceramic antenna inside of carbon, I mean, there's a lot of different RF reflection possibilities. But I can tell you that if you have a module in your radio capable of outputting a watt, you will probably never notice that there's a ceramic antenna in that quad. I normally run my module at 100 milliwatts of output power. I run 250 hertz polling rate on my ELRS. And I almost never, I can't remember the last time I got a telemetry loss on ELRS. And I've flown tons of places in distance and around buildings and trees and all kinds of stuff. Never had a problem. And the ceramic ones that I've had, same thing, but I just crank up the output power a little bit to 250 milliwatts output power, and I rarely see any telemetry loss. So you'll be fine in most cases. You're not going to fly for miles, but if that's not your expectation, then you're perfectly fine. Can I get a channel? Says, I use TrueRC antennas. Yeah, I like TrueRC. All of my VTX antennas are TrueRC antennas. For sure. Offer Quad 6 says FlySky has lowest latency at 7 milliseconds. I'd have to have that measured. I remember watching a video from, I can't remember anybody's name today, but I watched a video once where someone actually tested that with 2 endpoints and actually sent the stick commands and then recorded it, and ELRS was the clear winner on that. And they tested a lot of protocols. I think FlySky was on there. FrSky was definitely on there. And ELRS at 500 hertz was way below that. All right, it's 4 o'clock. I was going to say we have like 5 minutes left. I'm about to wrap up the stream, everybody. So if you've got any last comments or questions, throw them in. I'll try to skim through them. Chow says, I have flown pretty darn far on the ceramics and through very questionable bandos surrounded by RF nightmares without issue. Yeah, they go really well. Twisted said, how would you bind an ELRS AIO SPI board? So the first thing I would do is tell you to reference the ELRS wiki. ELRS's wiki will show you how to do all of this. It's going to depend on the version of Betaflight and the board. So sometimes on those boards, you go into the CLI and you type bind RX, and it will start the bind process on the board, and you hit bind on your Lua script on the radio. A lot of times you do the 3 plug-in method. If you don't know what that is, you plug and unplug the pack 3 times rapidly, and then it'll put the quad into binding mode, and then you hit the bind on your radio. And then other versions of Betaflight have a button in the receiver page where you can hit bind RX, and it will put it into bind mode. So check the manufacturer's information for which one belongs to your quad, and definitely check out the ELRS wiki. But one of those 3 are the typical ways to bind SPI. Let's see. All right. That's all the questions. It's 4:02. It's dinner time in my house like it is every day at 4 o'clock because my kids like to eat super early. That's probably not dinner time yet. Nikki's in there making the food, though. So I'm going to go check on her and make sure that she hasn't hurt herself on the oven, which has happened more than once. Anyway, thank you all very much for being here. I have loved being back after 2 weeks. It has been great to see you all. Please bring your questions back for next week. I fully intend to be here next week. Maybe next week we will take a look at building some of this freshman that was sent to me by Chow, and I'll finally get around to it. But yeah, if you're heading over to MadTech stream, give him a shout for me, say hi. I'm not going to be there, but Ian definitely deserves it. And until next time, stay greasy, and I'll catch all y'all peeps later.